There we go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hold on. There we go. Lost my guitar pick. Where'd it go?
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. Tonight, a very special treat. Valley Beth Shalom joins Bnai
Shabbat
Israel.
Shalom. Yadid nefesh Ava Rachaman Mishoch Avdach El Retzonach Yamut Avdach Kemo Ayah Yishtachaveh El Mul Hadarach Yerav Lo Yedidutach Mino Betzuf Vechotam Adonai Tziv Ha'olam Nafshi Cholat Ahavatach Ana Elna Refana Veharola Noam Zivach Az Titchazek V'tidrapeh V'hayatalach Shivchat Olam Vatik Yememuna Rachamecha V'chusna Avero Havach Ki Zeh Kama Nigsov Nigsah Limo B'Tiferet Uzah Ana Eli Machmal Libi Chushana V'al Titalam. One more verse. Higalena Uvros Chaviv Alai Et Sukkot Shelomach Ta'ir Eretz Mikvodach Nagila V'nismech Havach Ma'erahu Ki ba'moed V'choneini Ki me'olam Yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na na yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na yana na na yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na
I take in the sounds of Yedid Nefesh and I begin to shift. And Balat Tfilah, our cantor, Amy Robinson Katz, and I in Tustin, Orange County, California, are delighted to be in Encino, to be with our dear friends, Cantor Phil Barron, my teacher and friend, Rabbi Eddie Feinstein, to share, to bring in Shabbat together. What a delight that we can use our Zoom to create an extended community, not defined by where we sit, but defined by where we focus. As we together focus our attention on our tefillah, as we prepare and welcome Shabbat.
Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. Naria, letzori, sheinu nikadma, fana v'toda. Naria, letzuri sheinu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. Ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol Adol Elohim. Ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol Adol Elohim. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena, Ladonai. 40 שנה הכות בנור, ואומרם טועה לבבם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי באפי, אם יבואו אל מנוחתי.
If you're following along with us in Slim Shalom, we're on page 16, and in Lev Shalom, we're on page 13 for Psalm 96. Ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz. Shiru l'Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Bazru miyom leyom, Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim, Kevudo, Bechol ha'amim, Nifleotav. Ki gadol Adonai, Umhulal me'od, Norahu, Al kol Elohim. We're going to jump to the last 4 lines. Yadim, Amim, Bemishabim, Yismechu hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz, Yiram hayam, Umelo'o, Ya'alosh sadai, V'chol asher bo, Az yiranenu, Kol hatzeyar, Lifnei Adonai, Kiva, Kiva, Lishpot ha'aretz, Yishpot ziver b'tzedek, Ve'abim be'emunato.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to share this Shabbat with Rabbi Eli Spitz and Cantor Amy Robertson-Katz, and to share with the families of Bnei Israel, the families of Valley Beth Shalom, and welcome to everyone in Shabbat Shalom. I've spent my whole life as a teacher. That's what I do best in the world. Whether I call myself rabbi, I was a school principal once, I've been a college teacher for a long time. The first time I ever taught anybody anything, the first time I ever had an experience as a teacher was in summer camp when I was 13 years old. The camp director came to me and told me I'm teaching swimming. I didn't know anything about teaching swimming. He said, "You'll learn, it's okay." And he handed me this thick book from the American Red Cross. I'm going to teach a class of beginners. So I memorized this book. I knew everything there was about the breaststroke and the crawl and the backstroke. And I knew all the things you needed to know, but I didn't know the one thing you need to know as a teacher. And that's what came to me as I started to teach these little fellows. There was this one beautiful little fellow who was trying so hard to be a swimmer. And he would hold onto the edge of the pool with both hands, holding tightly, and kick his legs. And I said, "Okay, now comes the moment of truth. Turn around and swim out to me." And I took 2-3 steps backwards, and I held out my arms. And he looked at me, and he looked at the vast expanse, maybe 1.5 feet between him and me. And he held on to the side of the pool with both hands, holding on for dear life. And I said, "I promise you, I won't let go. Just let go and swim out to me." And he looked at me with both hands. And I said, "Kid, this is your chance, man. Either you let go of that pool and swim out to me, or you'll never get into law school." And he looked at me, and he looked at me, and he looked me in the eye, and he made this fateful decision. Can I trust this fellow? And he said, yes. And he pushed off the edge of the pool, kicked his legs wildly, reached out. I took his hands. I picked him up. We both screamed in celebration, "Kid, you can swim." I think there's a lot of life in that moment. There's a lot about life I learned in that moment, because so many times what life asks us to do is let go of the edge of the pool and swim out and hope that someone opens their hands and welcomes us and rescues us and celebrates with us. And that's always been the greatest human experience, to swim out past all that we're familiar and safe with to a world we don't quite know, and then to celebrate when we get there and realize, yes, we can do this. We are a people that was a pilgrimage people. We knew how to climb mountains to places we couldn't imagine going, because we knew how to climb out of our own egos and into a world of spirit, into a world of godliness. And the song of our pilgrimage, the song of our climbing, the song of our letting go of the edge of the pool and reaching out for life itself and all of its exhilaration, you'll find on page 18 in the prayer book of this prayer book. It's Psalm 99, Romemu.
Speaking of trying something new, try this new melody. Then try adding some words. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. 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 V'hishtachavu lehar kosho. V'hishtachavu lehar kosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. השתחוו להר קודשו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
We continue on page 20 in Sim Shalom and page 21 in Lev Shalem. Ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 ya. Ya na ya na ya na na na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na na ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na na ya ya na 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 na. Na 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 ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 ya na 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 na. Mizmor LeDavid Habul Adonai Bnei Elim Habul Adonai Kabbalat Ba'oz Hey yeah yeah Habul Adonai Kabbalat Shemo Yishtachavu Adonai Behadrat Kodesh Kol Adonai Al Hamayim El HaKavod
Adonai al mayim rabim kol Adonai ba'koach lay 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 kol Adonai behadar kol Adonai shover arazim vayshaber Adonai Edar ze halbanun vayarkiren kemo egel
Lebanon Vesirion Kemo Ben Re'emim Hey yeah yeah Kol Adonai Chotzev HaVodesh Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh Kol Adonai Yechol El Ayalon
Vayechesov Yeharot Uvechalo Kulo Merkavod Lay 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 Adonai Lamamul Yashava Yishev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Hoz Le'amo Yitin Adonai Yevarek Et Amo Vashalom Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Ay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Ay Lay 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 Ay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Ay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Yay Lay 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 Ay Lay 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 Lay.
So to prepare for this service, I had the joy of spending a little time with my friend Eddie and talking about our lives and catching each other up. And I mentioned to you, Eddie, that our daughter, my wife Linda, and my daughter Anna is getting married, and that I was going to be officiating. And you shared with me as a dad who had officiated at a daughter's wedding to be prepared to cry. And you shared that this is one of those moments as a dad when you see your daughter and her beloved walking up the aisle that you just can't help but feel grateful for life and overwhelmed with emotion. And you advised me it's good to have a backup in case when my daughter Anna gets married, I'm too overwhelmed under the chuppah. I did share that with my daughter Anna today, and she said, it's okay, Dad. You know, Lev and I have been talking. We're going to be crying all that day. If you cry, don't worry about it. But the piece that I hold on to as we get ready to do Lecha Dodi, where we have the image of a bride entering the room. And it's a complicated mystical poem inspired by Moses Cordovero and understanding of Sfirot. But in this moment, in light of that conversation, I shifted my mind to another sensibility, and that is God is our parent. God gave us life. God cares for us. On Shabbat, we look to spend time with God. But in this moment of Lecha Dodi, as the people of Israel wait for the bride, wait to be united in unity and in harmony, there's a part of me that maybe for the first time approaches Lecha Dodi from imagining God's point of view, standing, waiting for the bride and waiting for Israel and Shabbat to unite, and seeing Israel and unite coming together, being overwhelmed by joy, a joy that we then mirror and we create. And so as we get ready for Lecha Dodi, the mood is that of love rising, a bride coming in to a moment of significance as we, the people Israel, get ready to greet our bride, our queen, as God gets ready to share with joy and maybe with tears of joy this moment. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela hey Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela yay nay nay shamu v'zacho v'dibur echad השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת בליתילה. Here we go. Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela hey Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela yay nay nay likra Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem lesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela hey Lecha Dodi likra kala yababay 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala Bnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Bnei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin u'shmol tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi al yarish ben partzi v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Bnei Shabbat Am simcha uvtolo toch emunei am segula bohi chala chadodi nikrat kala Bnei Shabbat Kabbalat chadodi nikrat kala Bnei Shabbat Kabbalat. You try it. Chadodi nikrat kala Bnei Shabbat Kabbalat chadodi nikrat kala Bnei Shabbat
We continue on page 23 in the Sim Shalom prayer book, and on page 27 in Lev Shalem. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat Tov Lehodol Adonai. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat Tov Lehodol Adonai. Ulezamer Leshimcha Elyon Ulezamer Leshimcha Elyon. Leagid בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני. We're going to go down to the bottom of the page. Tzaddik katamar yivrach ke'eraz balvanon yizkeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu oyenuvu beseba Shenim verananim yiyu Lagiki yashar Adonai Tzuri velo avlat habo.
Before we begin the Mariv prayers, we will invite all of those who recite the Kaddish in memory of a loved one or observance of a yahrzeit to rise now and share with all of us together the holy words of Kaddish. Gather in the memories of the ones that you love. Gather in the memories of the ones that you've lost. Remember their wisdom and their humor and their giving, and hold their souls close. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechal Beit Yisrael. Bagalau v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'me'omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekucha brichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tuishbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
And we ask you to rise for Baruch Hu. Yada dai dai dai, 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 yada dai dai dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai. Baruch Adonai Amevorach Leolam Vaed Oma Miriam Umevi Laila Oma Abdil Ben Yom Ubein Laila Adonai Tzevaot Shemo El Chai Mikayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Haravim.
We turn to page 40 in Lev Shalem, or page 29 in the Sim Shalom prayer book. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Okein Adonai Eloheinu B'shokveinu נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם הלילה ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וגשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Please continue silently or join me at the top of the next page. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית הוריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
In a moment, we will be singing together the Song of the Sea. Michamocha be'elim Adonai, who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty. For the first thing the Israelites did when they reached the side of the Reed Sea, where they felt dry land and the possibilities of freedom, is they sang words of celebration, words of gratitude. Each time that we prepare to say our standing prayer, the Amidah, we, in our minds, go to that moment of possibility, that moment of freedom. For the focus of the Amidah, whether on Shabbat or the weekday, though in a little bit different forms, is to say, God, if you could take us out from Egypt, if you could allow us to sing in celebration, Michamocha be'elim Adonai, do it again. Heal the world. We open that door at our Seder and we say, Elijah, come in. If God could have taken us out from Egypt, well, we are ready for a time of harmony. Tonight, this day was the 19th day of counting of the Omer. When it gets darker out, the counting of the Omer would make tonight the 20th day of counting of the Omer, the 7 weeks from Passover to Mount Sinai. And so with the words of the splitting of the sea, the words of celebration fresh on our minds, on this, the 19th-20 days of our journey, we are reminded as we sing Michamocha and prepare to say the Amidah, that the taste of Shabbat gives us the hope, the taste of a world yet in front of us, in which as God took us out from Egypt and led us to song, so there will yet be before us a time of singing in celebration of a world of harmony.
Lai lai la la lai lai la la lai 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 la la lai lai la lai 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 la la lai lai la la lai lai la la lai lai la lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nehedar ba'kodesh mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai nur atehilot osei afele lai 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 malchut chara uvanecha okay hai amri bnei Moshe zehili anu amru Adonai imloch leolam ba'ed lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nehedar ba'kodesh mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai nur atehilot osei afele lai 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 לילה ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We turn to page 45 in Lev Shalem, or page 33 in Sim Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu molkenu l'chaim ufrus aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'tagnenu be'etzah tova mefanecha v'oshienu me'leman shemecha. Tzel kenafecha tastivenu ki el shomrenu matzilenu ata, ki amelchan barachum ata. Ushmar tzetzenu ובאונו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דרכו בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ומרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ומרו אמן.
There used to be a speed reading program called Evelyn Wood's reading dynamics, and they guaranteed to teach you how to read so fast that you could finish novels in mere minutes and newspapers in mere seconds. And when we were kids, we used to watch people daven in the synagogue, and we used to watch them daven so fast, like they could bang through these tefillot, especially the Shemona Esrei, especially the Amidah, that we knew that somewhere somebody must be offering a course called davening dynamics. So you run your fingers over the page. But the truth of the matter is that if there's anything in the world that deserves to be read slowly and not skimmed, but truly meditated upon, it's our prayers, and particularly this prayer, the Amidah. Because this is a prayer which is, frankly, a love letter between the Jewish people and God. It is a prayer of the deepest wisdom of our ancestors, passed down to us about how to live a life in the presence of God, and how to bring God into the self and into the core of one's being. There's a beautiful Hasidic tradition, which is the exact opposite of davening dynamics. It says that what you should do is take 3 minutes per word. That is, when you read the Amidah, don't read it through. Just take 3 minutes per word. And if you do that, it'll take you half a day to finish the Amidah, but you'll be a different person when you do. And just consider, so you start with Baruch. So what is Baruch? Baruch means to praise, to bless. Baruch comes from the Hebrew word berach, which means to knee. It is to kneel in front of someone. It is to acknowledge something greater than myself. It is to offer reverence. It is to offer the highest form of respect. Baruch, who is my blessing? Who in my life has come into my life at just the right moment and brought me the wisdom and the strength and the inspiration that I needed? Baruch, who can I bless? Who can I reach out to and be a blessing to? Ata, you. We don't say et. It's interesting, you don't say Baruch et Adonai, which is what you really should say, because you're blessing God, but Ata is it's the informal you. It's the informal second person. It's an I-you, I-thou relationship. You, and who do I say you to in my life? Buber taught us that at the end of every I-thou relationship is where God stands. Only by engaging with another in full presence and in full sensitivity and full reciprocity do I experience the presence of the divine in the world. Ata, you. Adonai, Yud He Vav He, all that is and all that was and all that will be, the God who inheres in all of being and surrounds me and engulfs me, in which I swim in this being, and yet I am the eyes and ears of this being, of all that is in the world. I am the part of the world that feels and cries out at injustice and complains when there is cruelty, and reaches out to heal and to help. Adonai, each word 3 minutes. You might not get past a line, but you'll be a different person when you do. The Amidah is found on the next page of our Siddur. Let's take a few moments for quiet and personal prayer. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'al kol yoshvei tevel tasim leolam. Grant whole peace and wholeness to all of your people Israel and to all who share this earth. Ki atah melech adon lekol hashalom, because you, God, are the source of our peace. Tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha. May it always be good in your sight to grant us the blessings of peace. It's all we ask for this Shabbos. The only thing we beg for is the blessing of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech Adon lechol harshalom. Ki atah melech Adon lechol harshalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol eit v'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and it is such a pleasure to share this wonderful Shabbat together, Bnei Israel and Valley Beth Shalom. So this is my dear, dear friend, Rabbi Eli Spitz, who has a number of letters after his name. He has a law degree and he has experience in so many fields, but he's always going to be Eli to me. And it's a joy to spend some time with you. And I think, the community knows that you're going to be stepping down from the full-time pulpit soon, right? And joining the ranks of those who have a chance to write beautiful books and travel the world and enjoy time with your family and your children. And I remember the first time we met, I came down to Tustin. I was the Camp Ramah director, and Bnei Israel at that time met in this warehouse, this converted warehouse. And the thing that made it outstanding was that there was a pole right in front of the bima. There was a bima and there was an ark and there was a place, but there was a pole right there. And you had to be really careful when you came down from the bima not to like bang into the pole. And when you first built the building in Tustin, like, wow, no pole. They didn't bring the pole with them. So let's begin by reflecting for a moment.
So I want to just say one word, because I too was beginning to recollect preparing for this evening. And that was the first time I ever met you. You were getting ready to take on the role of camp director at Camp Ramah. And there I was in this very humble setting, a warehouse with no windows and not so many people.
But a pole.
Lots of poles. And you took the time to be with me as this is over 30 years ago. And what I most was impressed by is you asked me what I saw as the needs for Camp Ramah, of my constituents for Camp Ramah, and you only listened. You didn't speak. You didn't try to sell it. You came to hear. And I was really taken by your ability to take in what I had to say. And at the end, you said, if you ever want to come to camp, come spend a week, bring your family. And I did. And while you were director, my family and I was there every summer. And it began with you and your quality of listening.
Thank you. So in these years that you have been the rabbi of this wonderful congregation. Let's think back a moment. I'm sure there were so many remarkable moments. Let me ask you this. What's the most interesting or the most difficult question anyone ever asked you during this time? We rabbis were trained at seminary to answer questions. So what was the most challenging or the most interesting question anyone ever asked you?
So the most challenging question for me is what we're celebrating in this service tonight. Meaning, when I was at the seminary, we didn't have musical instruments. That was not what conservative Jews then, over 30 years ago, did. And I was trained in law to understand intricacies of Jewish law later. And when it came to our own community of Congregation Bnai Israel, with people saying, Rabbi, if we have a guitar, if we have music, we can sing more fully. What do you think, Rabbi? What does Jewish law have to say about it? And for me, that was probably in my own Jewish unfolding, my own rabbinic understanding, maybe not one of my journeys. And at this point, like tonight, I celebrate with Amy and Phil, and they're singing and they're playing on guitar. And in that sense, I have been made aware that life is an unfolding of being open to new possibilities and to integrate those possibilities into Jewish understanding of what are the goals of Jewish law.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. And how did the community respond?
You know, I was concerned because as a rabbi, I'm aware of my regulars, the people who come every Shabbos morning. And those are the people that I care about everybody in the community, but I particularly have an eye on keeping my regulars happy. So I was concerned. But the bottom line is we didn't lose any congregants over music. And we flourished. We flourished in so many unanticipated ways. So I'm not going to ask you a question because I want to show everybody, our hand. Tonight is your birthday. All day it's been your birthday.
Yeah.
And it's a day of significance for me in that this is the Shabbat of my 54th anniversary of my bar mitzvah.
Oh, mazel tov, mazel tov.
I was born in 1954, and this Shabbat is my 54th year since my bar mitzvah.
We should make you give the speech again.
It wasn't a bad speech.
I'm sure.
I still remember it. But take a moment because we're celebrating, all of us here tonight. Amy and Phil, would you help me and sing Yom Huledet Sameach to Eddie? Because it's such an honor for me to share this moment with you. All right, let's do it.
As long as we sing Happy Bar Mitzvah to Ellie, okay?
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
So here's my question. You, my friend, and I are in the business of marking time and rituals. We're enablers of memory. When you come to a birthday like today, how does birthday fit into the scheme of holy moment?
Oh, well, first of all, it's a wonderful excuse to eat cake. I mean, that's the first thing. And that's always a good thing. But, like any other milestone, it's an opportunity to reflect. I guess at our age, it's an opportunity to reflect back a little bit and to reflect forward. And, as you get to these older years, as we are slowly inching up on these older years, my friend, they take on a sweet significance of watching, where we've come from, how many years it's been, and then begin to think about where we're going and this next era of our lives. I'm looking forward to this because it's American culture never figured on people like you and me. That's why they put Medicare at 65, because they figured you'd be gone after that soon. So the idea that there's so many folks in the world now who live well into their later years, into their 90s, and living well, and that I'm looking forward to being like we were pioneers when we were kids, creating a time called teenage. I'm looking forward to creating a new time called later adulthood. When we get to, I'm going to grow my hair long again and start reading those radical books I read before. But I'm sure that because there's now life wisdom behind us. There's life wisdom behind us, and to share this time of our lives and make it productive and fruitful, this, I think, is a very lovely opportunity. And you?
So one thought in terms of the answer and the meaning I relate to, and that is, I was talking to somebody today, and they said, in reference, I was sharing, I'm planning to talk about the significance of moments, and they said, well, the goal is to be in the moment, to be fully present. And then I paused and I thought, which is what you just shared, to be fully in the moment means to harvest recollections of the past and to bring it to this moment, to feel the gratitude of the experiences that have given us this fullness of this moment, and simultaneously to look forward, to know of the hopes and dreams and that we're moving toward, and then to return. To have a past and dreams of a future is to be enabled to be more fully present in the now. And so on this, my bar mitzvah of 54 years since 1967, I feel so much gratitude for the rabbi who helped me with my sermon, Rabbi Moshe Tutnauer, when I was 13, for all those teachers who've allowed me to be in this moment as a rabbi with you, my beloved rabbi friend, and to know that there are adventures and unfoldings and surprises yet ahead. And so this moment is indeed a holy moment, in that holy means a moment in which we can say, wow, for the goodness of being in this moment. Wow.
Wow. Thank you. And Mazel Tov on your bar mitzvah. Today, you are a man.
I am a man.
Cantors, let's bring this service to a finish, shall we?
יתקדע ויקרא שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירוצי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב האמרו, תהי שמי רבה לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דגוד שעה. ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירם בלמה ומבוא אמן.
תקבל צלון הון וברכון לכל ישראל קודם אבן ושמיא ואמרו יהי שלום רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו
אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Go ahead and kick off Aleinu.
All right. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדוליו ויוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו הגויי הרצות. I'm sorry, I didn't even turn to the right page. All right. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה.
Aleinu, and you say Aleinu, Aleinu, and you sing Aleinu, Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, Sing it with me. Aleinu. 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 Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem. V'gor aleinu kechol ha'amonam. Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem. V'gor aleinu kechol ha'amonam. Everybody, aleinu, 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 aleinu. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומונים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. עלינו, 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 עלינו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. עלינו, 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 עלינו.
I invite those bringing to mind a loved one who has passed, either on a yurtside or in the context of mourning, to use the Kaddish as a prompt to bring that loved one to mind and one quality that's their legacy in this moment for you, as together we honor loved ones with Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, B'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman kari v'imru amen, Yehei shmei rabba mevarach, le'olam omeo maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen.
Amen. You know, the Torah says, "Lo tov hayot adam levado." It isn't right that a human being be left alone. To walk the world alone is to walk the world without the greatest gift, the gift of friendship, of love, of closeness, of intimacy, of support. But this last year has left us, so many of us, alone so much of the time. It is a privilege, even by Zoom, to be together. So thank you to Rabbi Eli Spitz. Thank you to Cantor Amy Robinson Katz. Thank you to Cantor Phil Barron. Thank you to all of the families and communities and friends who've joined us to make our Shabbos together, this partnership Shabbos, this shared Shabbos, such a sweet and wonderful moment. And we hope and pray that between vaccines and protocols and just a little bit of God's blessings, we can be together soon to hug each other, to hold each other, and to celebrate life together. Shabbat Shalom. Cantors, let's take it out with a little Kiddush and some Shalom Aleichem.
Spider-Man has come to join me for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'aven. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש
שבת.
אמן.
Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ברוך ניל שלום מלכי השלום מלכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ברוך הוא ניל שלום מלכי השלום מלכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא צאתכם שלום מלכי השלום מלכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא יאי לה 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 יאי לה 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 יאי לה 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 Ay la 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 ay la 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 ay la 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 Teitchem shalom Malachei hashalom Malachei elyon Bimelech Malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbat.